Hey, what's up, guys? Before we get started, I have a very special announcement to make that has been years in the making. We have officially launched the waitlist for our brand new book. It's called Software as a Science, and you can get early access and become a part of the launch community by going to softwarebook.com. It's completely free to sign up. You might even get early access to the book and then become a part of the launch community where we're giving away tons of bonus content and mobilizing all of you to help us share the news of the book with the rest of the world. This has over 10 years of software experience, our best work from coaching thousands of founders, all packed into a single book that I'd love to give you early access to. So go to softwarebook.com and get your copy today. We're chilling on the 8th floor in downtown Denver, overlooking Coors Field after our 2-day boardroom event.
Yeah,
Dan, that's
first.
Coors Field is where they play sports ball.
I was wondering where they got the name from, and then I realized somebody paid them the most money for the name.
Someone combined sports and beer, so just to guarantee Dan knows nothing about any of it.
Yeah, both of those. There we go.
Perfect.
What city are we in?
Anyways, we just wrapped up our first, it was the first boardroom event post transition.
Yeah, you being CEO.
Yeah, and we decided we'd talk about
How that went.
that. We could talk about that.
Well, no, we don't have to. I mean, I don't want to hijack the conversation. I think what would be most useful to people, and I think that's what we agreed upon earlier, is talking about how to run a customer conference.
Yeah.
Because if you are a SaaS founder specifically and you've not brought your customers together, huge ROI.
Yeah.
Like huge ROI.
Yeah.
Massive.
Yep.
So
100%.
and we just execute that playbook doing this. What's unique about this one is I wasn't involved at all. As in, like, I just came to do a talk and that was it. Which is kind of crazy for a guy that built a coaching company that was his face. And so and it's actually an interesting question that I think somebody asked me yesterday. They said, how many other coaching companies do you know that the founder started it, owns it still, but is no longer involved in it?
I don't know of anyone.
Do you count Gym Launch? They own a minority, maybe?
Nope, majority ownership.
Majority ownership? I got nothing.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Sweet. Uncharted
Go
territory.
Johnny and go Matt.
Yeah, it's
nice job, team.
dude, it's been really interesting. I think the extraction to make there is there's a playbook, there's a process through hundreds of events have distilled. Essentially, the magic is creating the container for great relationships to happen. Like, no one buys community, but that's the thing that we're delivering here. What gets the clients on an epic high and becomes an incredible wind at your back as the business. If you're a software founder,
Don't worry, Phil will fix it in post.
Yeah, if you're a software founder wondering about the upside that a client event could bring, it is the fact that the community starts doing a whole lot of heavy lifting for you. It's about on the front door, on the way in, it's about the product, the features. So for us, a lot of times it's the content, it's the speakers, the experiences. That's the thing that gets them there. And then the thing that keeps them coming back are the relationships that they form. And the all that can come out of that is pretty exciting.
Yeah. I think that, like, when I think of groups, I've joined many masterminds and gone to many events back in the day, and it's like, I paid to go. First off, I want to learn something that's going to make me money. So I have to believe that some piece of the content, some kind of conversation, some kind of aspect of what I'm about to go pay for is going to ROI the time and money investment. Then on the back end of that, what makes the experience feel good, because again, we don't remember what we're taught, we remember how we felt, is doing things that otherwise we probably wouldn't do for ourselves. And that's actually an interesting component of some of the best events I've ever been to. I mean, I think one of the best events, and Matt, you've been to one, is Mastermind Talks, MMT. And they spend, Jason spends a year planning this one event. So when you unpack what he does and how he creates these transitions and experiences and these opportunities for people to bond on a deeper level, not surface, and reduce, take the mask down, I think that's what's super special. And so for us to take, a very detailed SaaS focus, the best of the best, revenue, customer success, you know, scaling, rev ops, all, you know, marketing, demand gen, all of that, and pair that with the kind of the emotional connection relationship side.
Yeah.
That's what makes this one of the best events in the world for any software CEO. Period, hands down.
Yeah.
It's the best of, even if you weren't a software CEO and you somehow snuck your way in the room.
Yeah.
Still learn some stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You'd be like, why doesn't my YPO forum do this? Why doesn't my group do this? Like, it's crazy the amount of clients we have that are YPO members, that are EO members, that are part of Tiger, like other groups. And they come to these events and they're like, oh, this is a different level.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting for software founders thinking this, especially if they're earlier stage, they might be like, oh, these events cost so much money, this and this and that.
No, revenue generating. We'll teach them.
Yeah, but
it makes you money.
Also, there's so much magic you can create, and Jason's stuff is a good example. There's a lot of details that you can implement that don't cost anything that will change the way the event goes. Like, for instance, something I learned from Jason is about deliberately curating the tables and who you're sitting next to, like architecting and imagining what are the conversations that Johnny and Dan might have, so I should put those guys near each other. Like, that costs $0, a little bit of time and intentionality. There's a lot that goes into making the magic show up.
100%.
Yeah.
So let's put the big ingredients in first, and then we'll go to the seasoning at the end of what makes a great event. So if you, by the end of this, you can leave with a checklist of like, if I'm going to go produce a customer event, what should I be focusing on first? What do you think the big component is to nail?
I think I always start backwards with what's the biggest fear somebody's gonna have for not doing it. First off, let's talk about filling it up. So the best way, it sounds crazy, to fill up a customer conference is to add the event registration and promotion in the sign up process and flow of your software.
Okay.
Like right off the bat, if somebody's signing up for your product, soon as they become a customer or it's a sales call, at the end of the, like they bought, you say, by the way, next April, we have our customer conference. Right now, we have an early bird opportunity for you to purchase tickets for you and your team at half price. Did you want me to add that onto the deal? In the sign up flow, literally an interstitial. I'm signed up, I go through the onboarding, PS promotion. Hey, we got our event in the next 2 months. Did you want to sign up, you and your team, for the event? Add it to the cart, check. Like, people don't realize they have attention at that stage to fill up the event. The other one I would say is, and we'll talk about sponsors, but also having the sponsors promote it to their customer base, right? Maybe it's not people that are currently customers, but if you have a customer conference, sometimes bringing people that are in the industry, I mean, look at Dreamforce or look at Inbound, like you have the potential, that's a big, you know, thing, but you have the potential to also create the conference for your industry, your sector.
Yeah, I don't even think, like, it's fun and interesting to look and draw inspiration from those big events, but you can have an incredible event with 50 people at it.
And virtual.
Yeah, and or virtual.
Yeah, we've had a lot of our clients do virtual customer conferences, and it produces a lot of the benefits, right, that we'll talk about, like testimonial videos and, you know, really empowering our purple customers that are raving fans to essentially teach our other customers how they're using our software. You can do all of that in a virtual structure. So the orchestration can be in person or online, but they work technically the same.
Yeah, so I wouldn't make it about your products. Like, Inbound is not about HubSpot, it's about inbound marketing.
Nope.
So it's about the problem they're trying to solve.
Yeah.
Get a nucleus of your clients and then allow them to invite friends, allow your partners to invite people to that. So now that becomes an opportunity for all your clients to connect, but also to bring in new business. Yep. Although that's not the right, I mean, I'll just say, like, there is a element to the attention you need to keep in mind is the curation of the room.
Yep.
You want there to be shared experiences. If you go too broad, you make it too salesy, it actually dilutes the client experience. So keeping the two in mind, I want there to be sales opportunities, but at the end of it, you have to just decide, what are we designing for? Does this need to produce revenue? Does it need to produce client connections? Am I trying to engineer this for increasing client LTV? So I'm actually charging for it. Do I use this as a conduit to bring in sponsorships so I get people who could potentially be affiliates or just be another revenue stream into the business? So it's important to think, what are we designing the event for?
Yeah, what problem is it solving?
Yep.
But it's interesting. I think, like, okay, so we split up just by our existing audience.
Yeah.
And then people will go to cost. Well, it sounds like it's going to cost money. I think you either look at it from a marketing budget if you do things, because, like, what's it going to cost you to reach out to customers and get testimonial videos? Well, if you bring them together and you get those videos on site, they come to you, you get a bunch of testimonial videos, it helps with the sales process. There's your ROI.
Yeah.
Or, you know, is there 1 or 2 sponsors that would love to get in front of our audience? Maybe it's partners, like we already have professional services, downstream partners that do a lot of the integration work for our software. They'll pay to help with the overhead costs.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the part that I find fascinating is if you look at 2 or 3 sponsors to like cover your room costs and maybe some food costs, and then you look at the ROI of marketing collateral created, right? Testimonial, case studies, that kind of stuff. You look at the opportunity to upsell. That's my favorite. I mean, we used to do an event. The whole point of the event was to upsell people into the next thing.
Yeah.
It's like then you literally have, okay, here's a guest list. Here's the people that need to expand, right? Expansion revenue. And then you invite your customer success people, or you tell the rest of the team, and when you curate the dinner tables, boom, you just happen to curate them with a customer that's using all your features, with 6 of them that are only using 1, with the customer success person prompting questions.
Yeah.
The ROI is like easy.
And I'll let you guys decide where to sequence this in the conversation, but the next level on that too, what we do internally, we call 10-minute tactics, but to zoom out for a minute, just a way to feature those purple customers, to let them explain the way that they're using all the different stuff, which puts them in an authority position, makes those other like serendipitous conversations even easier. I think there's a huge opportunity to do that.
Well, I just think like the idea of having your customers be the content, most founders don't even consider. They think they need to teach, they need to bring in speakers. It's like, nope, you have customers that are doing great, cool stuff. They're probably notable amongst their peers. And then what you do is you have this piece of content that could be repurposed for your podcast. It could be repurposed for your YouTube. It could be repurposed for the sales channel. Like I would even sit down with your sales team and say, what objections are we getting hit with? And how do we structure the content to overcome the objections that also is value added for the people coming?
We were just talking about this this morning.
It takes a little bit of thinking, and it'll make the whole thing seem like almost like what made us wait so long to do this. Every founder that we've taught the customer conference strategy to afterwards go, I wish I would have done that 2 years ago. Everyone.
So true. You'll if you sat down and you said, okay, what would make this a 10 out of 10 for our sales team? And you got the list from them. You said, okay, what would make it a 10 out of 10 for our marketing team? You got it. Case studies, testimonials, etc. What would make it a 10 out of 10 for my customer success team? You can literally check every single box. You can even bring the finance guy into the room.
He'll be in there eventually, I promise.
He wants it to be 0. And so it's really interesting if you sit down and orchestrate the event the right way. We can check all the boxes, and out of it there's all of this intangible ROI as well, that like at the end of the day we are human to human businesses, right? So we create the container there that allows us to have a relationship that's a lot more than just a transaction with our clients, then between each other. So it's hard to again, that's just such a difficult thing to articulate until you experience it. And then when your clients do, it's a really competitive advantage.
There's two big ideas I've heard from you guys so far I want to pull out for the people watching this. The first one is like, for the founders, you can be very well spoken about the problem you solve, but at the end of the day, your customers would rather hear it from other customers compared to hearing it from you. Like they don't really want to hear it from you. They want to see other people like them solving the problem. So I think it's engineering for that is really, really beautiful. The second point I had is gone, so we'll continue.
Did you know who does that really, really well is Trevor over at Carrot? Like if you want to go see someone, he just shines a light. He's Carrot's a platform for real estate investors.
One of our clients.
He just brings in some of the most successful real estate investors that are
also customers of his product.
But they shine a light. So you're shining a light in your dream customers, which has this upward pull. So anyone that comes is either going to think, man, Carrot's a key ingredient of that, or I'm using Carrot, but I don't use it like that. And so this is huge upward force, but just shining a light on those clients, and they're saying great things about your product and teaching the how, because our products only expedite a workflow. So if the workflow is shitty, they're just going to produce shitty work faster. So it's like, if you are serving real estate investors, you're going to want them to have the mindsets and the behaviors of your most successful clients that will then translate to them being a more successful client for you.
But just think of what you guys just said, which is so powerful. customers don't want to hear from the creators of the software how cool it is. They want to hear from other people that are just like them.
Yeah.
So if I'm a coach, or I'm in the dental industry, or I'm a whatever, and I use this CRM software, and there's a speaker that is a dental practice or a coach using a Salesforce or using a marketing tool or whatever, that's the session I'm most excited about. And the coolest part is that person now becomes a champion for all the customers you have, and they'll share the best practices, takes the load off your support team, takes the load off your customer success team, makes the person feel good about their skills, because most people underestimate what they know. So they feel great because they're getting approached after their talk, they're building relationships, they're, you know, and sometimes you see big companies do user groups and those people will lead those things. I just think it's such an ROI positive use of your time that, again, if you're listening to this and you've thought about it, just do the virtual one for now. Like, do a Zoom session, invite 25 customers, have them present. You can do an afternoon event. It doesn't even have to be a full day or multi-day. It could literally be a 4-hour event on a Friday afternoon. Call it whatever conf, make it a thing. And if you like it, do more of it. And if you don't. But I mean, it's better than just sitting around. But the glue that you create, like the community from it, that's the intangible. When you have raving fans, and raving fans are completely different than just like people that are happy with your software. Raving fans will get you into distribution opportunities. They'll get you on podcasts you could have never got on. They'll get you featured in magazines. These are the people where they change jobs and they fight to get your software in the company. That you don't get that if they're just a user. You get that if they're a raving fan.
I'll say we ran quite a few virtual and in person. Virtual can help you get your feet wet, but you have to do in person to catch the
100%.
magic. It can be a mix. Your event strategy can eventually have some. There's a lot that you can do in a virtual setting that you can't do in person, but there's so much of the upside that only happens when you're in person. It's how you compete. The differentiation between anyone else in your category is bringing people who are hiding behind keyboards and Zoom and get them in person.
And they don't have to be big. People like picture these, banquet halls. Like Trevor runs Carrot Camp. The guy we were talking about earlier, Trevor from Carrot, runs Carrot Camp. And they're small in-person gatherings. They're intimate. They do, some customers go in and they present, they teach, they do a little activity. They rock and roll. And it's small and it's tight and it's killer.
Yeah, I've seen some of our customers do customer conferences at their customers' offices.
That's cool.
Ooh, that's cool.
So that way they don't have to pay for the space, and the customer doesn't mind hosting because they got this space that they use for their auditorium or whatever. And, so it's like you don't need. People are like, oh, I looked at hotels and it's gonna cost X, Y, and Z. It's like, no, it doesn't. Just get creative about it. Figure out what makes it a win-win.
Yeah.
Who
runs it on your team? If you're a founder, you're like, all right, maybe I should.
If your team's pretty small, your assistant.
As Dan glances over at his assistant.
Trust me. This is a today conversation. She's like, who's running this? And I'm like, I know. But I mean, usually customer success, I think. If you had to pick, unless you had a dedicated team member. I mean.
Yeah, you can get pretty scrappy. I'll just say, go talk to several events. Go find who else has done this. Talk to them and ask them who on their team did it, and you can run it with a pretty small team.
Dude, we had a part-time event. You can hire event contractors to do one-off events. I mean, it's just like a wedding planner. Literally, a wedding planner probably could help you, especially if it's off-season. Like if you're doing your event in September, October, where there's not as many weddings. A wedding planner would be plenty of horsepower.
That's a great point. I forgot. We did use a fractional team
for a while. 2 years we used a part-time, maybe even longer.
I think one thing too, if you're talking to other founders about how to do this, like you have another company who's done it before, make sure you use the magic words. When you were my size, how did you do it?
That's great. Great filter.
You got someone who's running a 1,000-person event, you'll get a sick playbook that you can't run and can't afford to run.
I don't know if we have many clients that have done one and not done it again.
I think that's accurate.
Like everyone that's added one, they continue to do it because it continues to be profitable. And
dude, if you do one a year, that's not that big. And it also, this is the other thing, is you look at Apple, you look at Salesforce or Inbound. It also creates a forcing function for the cadence of your product releases. And I think people underestimate that, like knowing the whole team, that ROI of that, as you know, John, it's like, okay, this is the date. We got to get the features done.
Yes.
I'm going on stage. I'm demoing.
Yeah.
Can we please all rally around this?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that ROI, just having a forcing function that is a date where we know everybody's going to have eyes on this thing,
Yes.
is pretty powerful as
And
well.
I went through
And-
that. It was wild.
Yeah.
On adoption,
Yep.
how much harder is it? You work really hard. Let's say you don't have the customer event, you release the product, and then your whole customer success team works for months to go drive adoption. Versus when we get them all into the room, they're all hyped up.
You do
We get
breakout
way
sessions
farther
to
down
adopt,
that,
yeah.
than we would without it. So, how could let's go? We can go one of two ways. What's it look like to do this wrong? So common mistakes. I mean, I think we go that route. We could also do additional places to draw inspiration from. I love to hear like the events that we've been to.
Yeah, I mean, I think the wrong is the opposite of what we recommended. I think that there's more we could talk about orchestration wise.
Yeah, I think the how
Okay.
would be really important. For
I would
Yeah.
just say, like, I think there's a real tendency to overcomplicate. When you benchmark against Dreamforce or Inbound, you get way out over your skis ahead of time. So the way to kill you doing events is to way overcommit. Like, we want minimum effective dose for V1 and let it snowball over time. This absolutely it's a fail-proof playbook if you execute well. It's not that the strategy might work or might not.
Well, let's say where sometimes people do it wrong. The biggest one is too much content. Too much content.
Leave some room to breathe.
The clients want time. 2-hour lunch, as an example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so they can get caught up on emails. Most people, they run an event, they're like, oh, it's an hour lunch or it's 55 minutes. And it's like, that's not enough time. When you have a lot of people trying to find a place to eat,
Yeah.
and meet some friends or talking, if they got to be back in an hour, I'll tell you what's going to happen. Half the room's going to be empty.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, man.
I would say doing an event in Vegas, probably not a great fucking move.
Yeah.
Just throwing that one out there.
Yeah.
Don't want to be the first speaker on the second day of an event in Vegas.
Yeah.
There's nobody in the room. I refuse to do it.
Well,
These are like little things in my speaking contract. I will not do that.
You went to distractions. I went to costs. Like, there's certainly cities that cost a shitload more than others. So, like, don't go pick hosting an event in New York City, probably tough.
And hosting it in the city where most of your team is probably a good idea, because you can also have the benefit of like a kind of an indirect team offsite.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
100%.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude. We use it as a part of our onboarding. Like,
Yeah.
I want them to come and see the magic, feel it in the customer.
So if you have an in-office team hosted in the city, that way it's actually fun for the clients, because like Trainwheel, for example, is down in Scottsdale, and it's like super fun to actually like go visit their office as part of their event, so that you get to build a personal relationship.
Yeah.
Like there's something about the geography of knowing the team, because most people use software, they probably can't even tell you where the team is, let alone can tell you who the CEO is.
Yeah.
So to be able to say, like, I met the CEO, I've met some of the people on the team, and I've been to their office or at least the city or the neighborhood, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
One of the best filters I heard for this, for thinking about what to put into an event, was actually from Taki's program. He said, when you're running an in-person event, don't fill it up with things that you could get by not being at an in-person event.
So good.
Yeah.
Do things that you could only do at an in-person event.
For example,
dinners, 2-hour lunches, breakout sessions, experiences, all of the things that get face-to-face interpersonal relationships built.
Yeah.
So we're not saying don't do any talks or any content, but don't index super heavy on that.
Yeah, you can start the event at 10 a.m., go to 12:30, 2-hour lunch, hour and a half lunch, finish a little early, have an after party sponsored by somebody. The best people, like locally sponsors, I get sponsors all the time, is the wealth management people, just for what it's worth. Like, they're easy ones to hit up. Lawyers, banks.
Yeah.
Again, anybody that's helping businesses or people with like kind of broad personal stuff.
Yeah.
They are like, they can't find enough events to throw $5 or $10 to, and those are easy sponsors for like cocktail hours and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, keep it simple. But at the same time, I would say if you do get people together, try to figure out how to get some kind of activity, and it could be a morning workout kind of thing, group workout, or
super simple. I mean, like, we've had just a trainer in the area come.
Yep.
We have a trainer come, lead a stretch, do a run. Shared experiences. To your point on what you can't do online, I will say, promotion wise, content's the thing that gets people to sign up. So you got to have a couple of like
chocolate.
reasons why. It's the chocolate and the broccoli.
We're gonna teach you this really advanced cool thing, or we got this like killer talk or speaker or whatever.
So minimal effective dose for that would be something exciting enough to get people to register, and no more than that.
And usually something's going to make them money or save them time.
Yeah, and it's funny, if you get the right caliber speaker, it still fits the criteria. I couldn't go listen to Dan Martell give me a keynote unless I go to that event.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go to that event.
Yeah.
If people are not already deciding to pick a date, like go pick a date, decide to do it. Maybe virtual first, but in person's a lot of fun. I think when I think about the objections we've gotten from our clients, some of them like, well, my clients, they're only paying us $100 a month. They're not going to get on a plane to come visit us. And I don't know. I think you'd be surprised how many people are looking for a reason to get out of their office.
Yeah. Well, I think the reason someone gets on a plane has no relation to the annual contract value of the software they're buying.
Yeah.
It's, are you running an event worth going to?
Yeah, and just meeting other peers.
Yeah.
Right? If I'm a lawn care guy, I want to meet other lawn care people, and I don't know any. If I run a transportation trucking company, I might not know anybody else. So I get to go to an event where I can meet other people that use the software to do trucking. So you can even call that out as like different tracks, where if you have 5 different verticals you serve, say we're going to do the afternoons or breakouts per vertical.
Yeah. That'd be another thing that I would say is like, there's so much in the curated room.
Yeah.
Try it, like
even if it's
most
12 people in a room.
Yeah, just niche down, right? You want to be able to give the client the experience of, oh my gosh, I finally found my people.
Yeah.
The people who go to sleep
good.
worrying about the things I worry about every night.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you get too broad, then they have to fish through a bunch and they feel like a number. So
don't put the work on the audience, the people attending.
Yeah.
Do the curation.
Yeah, I think one of our like mantras from our own internal events team, they say create magical moments, and I think that it doesn't matter if you have an events team or you're like, what is an events team, or it's you and an assistant or whatever. It's just any human beings on your team. Don't make the client work, right? They're there, they've showed up, they put the time in, they've spent time away from their families. Like, don't point them to the bathroom, walk them to the bathroom. Don't say your table's over there, take them to the table.
Yeah, notice the water's empty.
Yeah,
fill it
exactly.
up.
Like, notice the t-shirts aren't folded and fold them real quick. Whatever the thing is, just take an exceptional amount of pride in everything you see in all of your interactions, because you guys said it earlier, right? It's about how you make them feel. So the way that the event makes them feel is part of it. That's what gets them there. But the way we treat them at the event is really what gives them the lasting impression that'll make them want to stay your customer and keep coming back. One
of the most powerful things on that is teaching your team how to connect people. So like, so a lot of,
tell us your magic on, dude, you do this incredibly well.
So people are scared because they're like, well, I don't know anybody. The cool part is you only need to know one. So just go up to a group of people and talk to one person. It's like, hey, Johnny, nice to meet you. I'm Bob. What do you do, Johnny? Well, I'm the CEO of this company. Oh, cool. Where are you from? Blah, 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 blah. That's all I need to know. Then I turn around and I'm like, hey, I'm Bob. And you're like, I'm Matt. I go, hey, Bob, Matt, do you know Johnny? It's like, no, Johnny's from this city. He's the CEO of this company. You guys should connect. You don't know that I don't know him well. You think I really know him, and you don't even know why I'm introducing, but you think, well, he's obviously making an introduction for a reason. I do this at scale, and it's actually, I do it because sometimes when I'm on a schedule and I got to move, I don't want to be rude, so I do the intro to give myself space to kind of keep moving on my schedule. But it's the thing that people always remember. Some folks are more introverted. They're not willing to go up to a group of people that are strangers. So you helping connect those people, you'll then see them continue the conversation and then end up sitting down together, end up going to lunch together. And on the second day of an event, that's their homie. Because you just said hello and asked them where they're from and what they do, and then just said, oh, do you know this person? No, I don't. You know they don't know them. And you just make the intro.
Like the best compliment you can get is being called a router or a connector. Right?
Yeah.
It's like just
and it's not that complicated. People are like, well, I don't know a lot of people. I'm scared to ask a lot of questions, or I get nervous. It's like, that's literally that. I could do it real time right now. That's all I ask. Hey man, I'm Dan. Hey, I'm Bob. Where are you from? What do you do? Oh, do you know Matt? No, I don't know Matt. Oh, Matt's, he's really cool. You should get to know him. And then you just walk away and you keep doing it.
Yeah. It's interesting. There's so much to just creating just enough of the container for them to, it's almost like, paint inside the numbers. So for example, you don't have to teach something super complex. We could just, from the stage, you could run a training that says, for example, you're trying to teach how to break down an ad. You can just come up with 3 components of an ad, have a blank worksheet that says that I want you to brainstorm component number 1. And you've just given just enough scaffolding to for them to start painting us other numbers. That also happens in creating connection. For example, just place a prompt on the table. All we need to do is get the conversation started. That's what you're talking about here. So at scale, orchestrating in the room, for example, you might get everyone together. We kick off day one. What are our intentions? Why did you come? Write them down. All right, stand up. Get into groups of 3. Tell them. That's it. Here. All we're trying to. They're going to take it and run with you. I have a hard time getting them to sit back down.
Let's talk about the orchestration. I want to tell a funny anecdote. Last night at dinner, there was one of those prompts, and the prompt was, "What's keeping you from being present right now?" And somebody wrote this question. I said, that's funny.
That is hilarious.
But so we take for granted that we understand orchestration of energy in a room. Okay, and that's why we run the best. Like most people don't even know it's happening, but we know it. It's intentional. We say all the time, we own the energy in the room. It's our responsibility. So there's a lot of people who have taught me different components of this over the years, but you talked about one of them. First off, when you get people to do an exercise of share, they all have to stand up.
Yeah.
Like there's a different energy if people are sitting down to stand up. And then you also tell them, stand up, use the whole room. There's space over there, there's space over there. And what that does is it just keeps the energy high, because the worst thing you can be is in a room. The other thing we do is keep the temperature down a little bit, not to freeze them out, although unfortunately sometimes hotels don't collaborate with us properly, and we do that. So bring a sweater. But it's really even the orchestrations. When I think of like a 60-minute time frame, I want to figure out how to do 2 to 3 orchestrations. Meaning, do I get them to ponder a question, write down, turn to your neighbor, share, stand up, group of people, get together, share, change the mic, feedback, post, you know what I mean? Like, and then takeaways, shares, Q&A. Those are all separate orchestrations that you can use. And the cool part, to fill time, that makes it about co-creating the content and not being you're throwing up on them just nonstop.
You don't want one way. I say, like, when I kick off every event, there are no consumers. We are creating this together. You don't get to sit back and I'm like, this is not Netflix live.
Yeah,
you're here to participate, and so we get them set an intention and then share with each other. The other really cool thing is we call it the Death Star, which also makes for some really great
everybody
moments.
Should get one of these talk box. Is that what they're called, talk boxes?
Yeah,
right?
so it's got a microphone in it.
Yeah, it's like a
soft
foam
box.
Yeah,
we'll get them to do an exercise. Maybe they're creating an ad. Maybe they're whatever,
doing takeaways.
Yeah, whatever it is, and then you just ask who wants to share. It'll take a second. Be comfortable waiting.
And you can seed people. That's
you could ask someone to do it ahead of time, or just get comfortable. All you have to do is wait 7 seconds. So feel like an eternity for you. You say, hey, who wants to go first? And then just start counting. Within 7 seconds, someone
put your hand up.
will
put
your hand
awkward
up
for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
They'll put it up. You chuck the talk box out. They introduce themselves. They share their takeaway. And now we have this like fun. The whole room's involved. The first 2 will take a couple minutes.
Because we're whipping this box around the room for the mic.
We may or may not have shattered a crystal chandelier in Toronto.
Oh, we've done everything. Yeah. We did it this morning where somebody hit a water pitcher and flooded the table.
Yeah.
But I when I'm on stage, I always go furthest to point to point. Yeah. I'm like, well, let's see how good your arm is, and let's see how good you catch.
Yeah.
But the other thing, and again, I'm not sure if you there's deliberateness in this, is always thank the person for the share.
Yep.
Like really go out of your way and say to the person, Bob, that was a great share. Thank you. Because then other people are like, I like that. I want somebody to acknowledge me.
Yeah, we get the whole room to do it.
Yeah.
So another little hack is we'll say, hey, thanks, Ryan, for sharing. And the whole room, we count down. We go 3, 2, 1, and one single clap for Ryan. And then, so it's just creating this.
And that one clap is there's some advanced stuff we do. That's why we run the best events. But we've hired the best people. Like literally, we've hired the best people around event management and orchestration. We've built those playbooks. Our event team is the best events team in the world, period, full stop.
It is true.
No, it is true.
Yeah.
Like 100% of the time, half the room today is like, how do I find a version of that person?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually why we're recording this podcast.
Yeah, there's an event going on and we're sitting here.
There are a room. Yeah, well, that.
And technically, we run this.
Yeah, and there are 45 people in that room running SaaS companies doing between 10 and 30 million that experienced our event and said, hey, can we meet with your events team so we can do something like this? So the inspiration was, hey, well, let's figure out how to leave an artifact out there for how to go do that if you want to run a user conference, how to make it more than a conference. Like it's not, we have people say these are not conferences, they're experiences.
Yeah.
And what we just talked about was taking a boring keynote with a slide deck and how to just do a few tweaks to the room is creating something together. They're connecting with each other, and it takes so much pressure off of actually what gets taught, and instead makes it about what's caught. Yep.
Yeah, it's so good.
And I'll tell you, from the founder side of it, if you're the one giving the talk, and if you're nervous about giving the talk, the secondary impact of all of this orchestration is it actually takes an incredibly small amount of like slide deck or talk tracks to fill up a really impactful 60-minute window, because it's not about the volume of information. Like when I first started speaking, I thought it was about the volume of information. I need to craft this whole thing
to fill up the time.
Yeah, and really if you orchestrate it to get the information flowing in two directions, it's going to be 100 times more impactful for the audience, and you actually have to create less because you can co-create more. And that, for me, that was a huge idea when I started figuring this stuff out.
Yeah. Want to hear a little sneaky trick I do that most people don't know? If I have 30 minutes to kill, I change the size of the groups that are sharing. So if I got 30 minutes to kill, I'll go 6 to 8 people in a group.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most people will never know. Like if the events person whispers at me, they're like, oh, we got 30 minutes, something got delayed. No problem. All right, we're getting in groups of 8. Everybody's got 4 minutes. I want you to share your biggest takeaways. Use the room.
That may or may
30
not
minutes
have
on the clock and go.
You're one spreadsheet away from the answer.
Yeah. It's so fun.
Yeah.
It's once you understand this, it just doesn't feel as pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it can be super fun.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for some people to go get inspired by, hands down, I think someone who's mutually inspired us is Jason from Mastermind Talks.
Yeah. Jason Gaynard at MMT, Mastermind Talks. Unfortunately, almost impossible to get into.
It's a tough one.
But apply, use Matt Verlaque's name, and then he can get the call for vouching for you if you know Matt.
Well, just go be curious. He's produced a lot of content. He has a great podcast.
Yeah, he actually did an
community.
events one unpacking how he runs events.
Yep.
He doesn't sell it. If you are friendly with him and donate to his charity, he might send you a copy of it.
Yeah. He's got a book coming out.
Yeah, he's got a book coming out. Is it on that topic though? Might be around community stuff.
I think it was around building community, I thought.
Yeah, it's just his events are just so crazy orchestrated. John Berghoff. So John is the orchestration guy that I learned a lot of this from.
Okay.
And then I would say Taki Moore. So Taki Moore definitely has a lot of stuff around how to produce events. John Berghoff has a lot of content around orchestration of co-creation.
Yeah.
And then Jason, is a student of the game.
Yeah. I think that there's an important distinction to make, because we are blending and using the words of like conference and event and experience like interchangeably. What we just talked about for the last 10 minutes around the orchestration of the room is creating the experience. It's a lot less like you're not going to see this at Dreamforce or at Inbound. If
they did, it'd be powerful.
Right. But those are different, where it really is about.
Yeah, I would say those are advanced moves. Start with a customer conference.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you want the magic, what we're trying to communicate here is that it's not about the information that someone learns, it's about the connections that they make. Yeah. So if our goal is to create raving fans who would get on a camera and leave a testimonial, who would tell their friend about your product, or who would buy more from you. So we're making a revenue connection. If the goal of the event is to do that, the conduit is community, not content.
Yeah, agreed.
So spend your time, get the minimum effective dose of content in place, and focus the rest of your time. Just go study some of the greats in the game on how to create that experience. Use some of the things we've taught you here, and you're going to be like 90% of the way there. And you'll leave with the customer sentiment that you were after. If you double down on content, you just might not be as impressed.
But
because
I will
commercial.
do a shout out. There's a great book called How to Create a Workshop. It's a yellow book. And
my shelf.
Yeah,
Good one.
It's a great book.
Yeah.
So if somebody's like, I still need a process, just do that and then implement the seeds of what we shared.
Yeah, but also as a process guy, I'm going to talk process for just a sec. Your personal process, it's study the greats, yes. Read the books, yes. But if you're a founder and you want to do this in your company and you've not joined some type of program, a coaching program or another SaaS company's experience or conference or whatever, like go consume the thing that you want to create first, because once you see how it makes you feel, you will be driven to go recreate the experience for the people you care about.
Really hard to produce something you haven't felt yourself.
Yeah, it's like, go sign up for something, go consume it. Because it goes back full circle to what you said in the beginning. When you join a group or join a program or join a mastermind, what is the one thing that's going to produce ROI for you? It might be that you just are in the room that you want to create. That could be the whole big idea for you.
Yeah.
Just sit in the room and then go make it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Sweet.
How do you guys close these off?
Here's my ask.
How do you guys close these off? Like,
usually with a high degree of awkward pauses.
It's actually,
perfect.
It's part of the
we're nailing this.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. If you go and when you book a customer conference, I want to know about it. I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah. Email Johnny. What's your email? Tell
Johnny at SaaSacademy.com.
Went with the official. I thought you were going to say email a podcast email and email Johnny direct.
Oh, yeah. You could shoot an email to me.
Can I give him your cell phone number?
Sure.
Man, he's got a lot of time, man. It's a good sign.
Actually, might need to figure out why you got so much time. Let's go.
I didn't guarantee a response. If you get out the cell phone number, friends and family have a hard enough time with a response, let alone. Oh, God. All right. Well, Dan. Good jamming.
It's awesome. This is fun. You guys knocked it out of the park. I'm really proud of you guys.
All right, go run some conferences. Peace.